Hello class, today we'll be learning about verb article or verbs with articles. We will start with the articles. So first off, we have the nominative, which is usually used in common situations.
So hi guys, welcome back to our Never Give Up channel. And as you guys have seen the example in the beginning, today we will talk about laziness and procrastination. So now let's get started.
So guys, to get this started, we're first gonna talk about the definition of procrastination and laziness, which, to be honest, I'm too lazy to even talk about it. So let's pass this to Min to do it.
Why does it always have to be me to solve all their problems? Okay, so Vietnamese society by and large prizes hard work and diligence. So when you call someone lazy or a procrastinator, it's usually a really heavy insult towards that certain individual. But yet we even willingly label ourselves as lazy and more so other people as procrastinators.
So, what is laziness and procrastination?
First, laziness is described as the lack of motivation to do something when you have the ability to do it. It is also defined by certain dictionaries as an unwillingness to do something. Digging deeper, we can see that laziness actually goes way more beyond its normal meaning, and it's more subjective than objective. For example, when a person skips the extra work not needed for their project, some people might call him lazy and that he doesn't want to do his work because he's too lazy to do so. But other people may see it as reasonable and that work is not needed for the project to really be completed.
Now that we've established what laziness is, let's move on to procrastination. So, what is procrastination? Procrastination is the act of unnecessarily delaying or postponing something, even when there are negative consequences when doing so. Or in other words, you can understand it as I can't do it right now, or I'm too lazy to do it right now. I'll move it to next week or tomorrow. And procrastination is everywhere around us. Even you, me, our friends, our families, they have all procrastinated at some point. So, what are the differences between procrastination and laziness? The simplest way of differentiating between these two are through their meanings. Procrastination usually involves unnecessarily delaying a task to its final moment, and while laziness, on the other hand, involves a reluctance to exert effort to do something. Along with that, the biggest differences between a procrastinator and a lazy person is that while a lazy person has no intention of exerting any effort to complete a given task, a procrastinator has at least an inherent desire to finish that task. However, their differences go much deeper than the meaning. For example, laziness is more of a personal attribute, an inclination, or an attitude, while procrastination is more of a habit, a phenomenon, and a universal tendency. In conclusion, the main differences between procrastination and laziness are rooted in number one, intent. Procrastinators usually intend to finish the work, but not with a good execution, while lazy people have the inherent desire to not do it at all and to postpone it until they feel like doing it. Number two, emotional response. Procrastination is often accompanied by guilt and shame for the unnecessary delay, while laziness doesn't often exert and produce as much of the negative emotions. So, why do people feel the need to procrastinate and to be lazy?
Overwhelmed, big and complicated tasks can feel daunting, making us unsure where to begin. And instead of breaking the task down, we avoid it, which only makes things worse as the work piles up. And another significant contributor to laziness and procrastinations is a lack of motivation. When we are not genuinely interested in a task, it's easy to put it off. And this can stem from various sources, such as feeling disconnected from a goal, or simply because we are more drawn to other more appealing activities.
Is that all?
Nah, I don't think so. Even more than that, laziness and procrastination also stem from lack of discipline and lack of immediate consequences. First, let's imagine a work without timetables and schedules. It's gonna be nothing but a whole mess. Therefore, we can see that discipline plays a vital role in our daily life, not only for our study, but also our career. If you can't organize your time wisely, your assignments cannot be done in any way. However, laziness and procrastination also stems from many other objective reasons. Chief among those is that the task you choose to do in the beginning takes so long to have a result. You know what? Immediate achievement usually makes you feel more rewarding, which leads to your motivation for completing more tasks.
Oh, I remember one more reason. It's the fear of failure, because the worry that we won't perform well or that our efforts will be inadequate can be paralyzing. And instead of facing the potential for disappointment, we delay the task, hoping that somehow the situation will improve or that the pressure will lessen. This, however, only increases the anxiety.
Are you bored yet? Now let's get a little break.
Suspect Dương Hạnh Nguyên was caught playing games all weekend.
Suspect Lê Anh Thư delaying test homework until the last day of test holiday.
Suspect Nguyễn Quang Minh sacrificing the work for his work from homework. That's enough. Now let's get back to our main business. Now let's move on to the consequences of laziness and procrastination. Eventually, it goes without saying that this phenomenon affects various aspects of our life, including our studies, our career, and even our social relationships. As you always delay your assignments, your productivity is gonna be reduced significantly. A rush job right before the deadline can never be done as flawless as works that we spend plenty of time on, and that is why you tend to stand a higher chance of missing golden opportunities. Moreover, since you are not as good as your peers, you may suffer the feeling of guilt, self-doubt, and lack of confidence, which lead to discomfort in communicating. At length, your social relationships will be ruined slowly.
Thank you. Now that we're done with what and why, how can we overcome such challenging habits? Well, first of all, you can divide your tasks into smaller steps, because the very part of doing a task that is pleasant is definitely the feeling of accomplishment one may get when they finish their task. However, if you do a really lengthy one, it would be really long until you can achieve that delightful sensation, which would in turn wear you down and make the finish line seem so far out of reach. Therefore, you should divide your tasks into smaller, more manageable chunks, because each time you finish said chunks, it would give you the same satisfaction knowing that you've completed. But how would one decide on how to divide these chunks, you might ask? Well, they can apply our second solution and base their division on the Pomodoro technique. It suggests splitting the work time into 25-minute sessions with 5-minute breaks in between. However, this can get repetitive after a while, which is something we want to avoid. Therefore, the technique also encourages us to take a longer break after 4 continuous laps of rinse and repeat. With this, you're resetting your mind every now and then, which helps you concentrate and prevents burnouts or boredom. And to further embrace the pleasure of finishing the task, you should reward yourself for your efforts. because a price upon the completion of a task of one's choice is bound to make them happy, for it acts as a payoff to all of the efforts they've put in, where they can now do whatever to their likings or anything that pleases them. This helps relax the mind so that we can have a better mentality, and with better mentalities come better performances. However, that is not enough as to fully avoid laziness and procrastination. You would also need to change your mindset. Most people who procrastinate perceive their work as a burden that they need to get rid of. Because let's be real, nobody would be eager to do something that they didn't like. Therefore, to get rid of this, you would first need to understand your likings and desires. From then, you would need to look into the task and find the part that brings you joy, and then focus on it so that it would improve the efficiency and get you through the task in no time. Finally, you have to learn to forgive yourself on your mistakes.
And that's
Don't
12
be too
minutes.
harsh on
See you
every mistake
tomorrow.
you make. Accept that procrastination can happen and focus on how to improve it.